are going to make a frame-by-frame animation in Photoshop. I'm starting by making a new file that is 1080 pixels by 1080 pixels, 72 resolution, and I changed my background contents to transparent. So I'm going to create that, and we have this very simple square canvas to work on. The key to understanding, or the key to setting up a file or to making your image in order to animate frame by frame, is thinking about each layer is a frame, or each layer shows an incremental movement. So sometimes you see this sort of wobbly text animation style, and I'm going to show you how to do that with some lettering, and then also how to animate some eyes moving and just animating a line across the page, just to give us the basics. So we're going to create some layers and then group our layers together. I'm going to begin with this first layer that's here, and using a brush tool, and I just worked with the dry media brushes. I have charcoal because I want it to kind of have a little bit of texture. And you know, it's really great to work in Procreate or use Apple Pencil or even a tablet to draw in Photoshop, or to build your layers in Procreate first. You have a little bit more control that way with your drawing. I'm just going to draw with my mouse just to give us, show us how it works. So I'm going to make this block letter that says this hi. So here's my little H and my I and an exclamation point. Hi. All right. And I'm now going to create a new layer on top of that, and I'm going to draw the same thing. In order to see what I'm doing, I'm going to go to the first layer, lower my opacity, and then on my second layer, with my second layer selected, I'm going to redraw those lines. That little slight change, because of my irregularity in my drawing, is going to make this line kind of look like it's wobbling, because as it changes from one to the next. And again, I'm not worried about it being perfect. I'm just trying to get these in place. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to lower my opacity and then create one more layer, and again try to trace. Ooh, and I am not great with my mouse on drawing with my mouse. Hard to control. So setting up these different layers in a tool that you can draw with a little easier is really good. I mean, you could even build your shapes in, with the pen tool in Photoshop, but the main lesson here is that we have 3 different layers, right? So all of those turned on, you can kind of see. I'm going to select each one and make sure my opacity is back up to normal, and they're all sort of stacked on top of one another right now. I'm going to also give these a number. I'm going to change the name to order them, so I'm going to write type 1. I double click on the words, and then I can type to rename the layer. So I have 1, 2, 3. I'm going to select those all. So I selected 1 and hold shift, select the last one, and I'm going to group these. You can't see my over here, but I'm going to choose new group from layers, which I'll call this line text. So there we go. I'm also going to add some color for fun. So I need to make a new layer, and I'm going to stack these. I'm going to make 3 new layers, and I'm going to stack them right underneath the line layer. I guess I should just call this type or text or whatever. I don't know if that's grouped. Okay, so I'm going to call this one color, 2 color, and you'll see after I when we put this into animation how this is helpful. So I'm going to turn off these and just have my one layer on with my high and my hello, my hi, and I'm going to choose just a fun color to work with. How about this green? And with my color layer underneath my line layer, increase my brush size. I'm just going to fill that in very quickly. Okay, turn that off, and then I'm going to choose my number 2 text layer, and on my number 2 color layer, fill that in. Just keeping track of your layers, going slow is really helpful in setting up for an animation. And I'm going to turn that off. I'll turn on my number 3 of my handwritten text layer, and then I'm coloring on the 3 color layer that's just stacked underneath the line. All right, cool. So let's animate this so you can see how this works. I'm going to save as, I'll call this hi, put this on my desktop. And now we're ready to open up our animation timeline. So if we go up to Window and we choose Timeline, it's going to give us this new panel down at the bottom. And we're going to click Create Frame Animation. If you don't see that right away, you can toggle. There's Create Video Timeline, which I'm going to do in a different video. We're just going to create frame animation. So click that button, and that is going to create our first frame. What we need to know in this timeline down here, and let me see if I can make it bigger. I guess I can't. Or there might be a way. Panel options. Yeah, I'm going to make this bigger so you can see it a little bit bigger. So these options down at the bottom, the little plus in a box means to add a new frame. And then we've got some playback options. And then we also have some timing options on each frame. So I'll talk about that in a minute. What we want to do is right now create, let's say 10 frames, because we're going to, if there's about 12 frames a second, we'll be a little under 1 second of an animation. We're going to build out some more things on here. So I'm going to go ahead and create 10 frames. So I've got 1 already. So I'll click this plus button 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it gives you a little number at the top. So I have 10 frames I'm working with here. On the first one, they're all the same right now. On the first frame, I'll leave it as is. I've got my number 1 type layer with the color and the line. Both of those layers are turned on. Everything else is turned off. So that's the key. Check your eyeballs there on the layer panel. I'm going to go to the next frame just by selecting it in the timeline. And then I'm going to turn off those first 2 layers and turn on the next 2 layers. So the 2 and the 2 color layers are turned on. Then I'm going to choose my third panel, and I'm going to turn on my third type layer and my 3 color layer. So if I click back and look at those, I've got 3 different frames going, right? And so from here, what I want to do is just kind of work back through the order. So I'm going to go to frame 4, and my 1 and my 1 are turned on. I'm going to go to frame 5. I'm going to put my 2 and my 2 on. Frame 6, I'm going to turn my 3 and my 3 on. Frame 7, I'll keep like that. Frame 8, I'm just making sure each frame has a different line and color. And so if we watch this, we can push play to preview. Now we have some dancing letters, right? That kind of wobbly dancing letter. And we can see that it hesitates a little bit here because frame 1 and frame 10 are the same. And that's okay. I think that's okay. There's some other things we can try. So you can select the underneath each frame the timing. So if I click on the first frame and the last frame and I change the timing to, let's say, 5 seconds, you'll see this will slow it down a whole lot. So you kind of see the steps in motion. When we had no delay selected, that's when it moves really fast, right? And is super wobbly and wiggly. Okay, cool. So we're going to add a little bit more to this. I'm going to close the type group because I'm sort of done with that. That's set. I'll click save. And I'm going to create a new layer. On this new layer, we're going to draw some eyeballs. Just cartoon eyes. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And so I'm going to draw, oops, I meant to do it with black. One there and one. I'm sorry, I'm starting over because I wanted to fit them on the frame, but I seem to be drawing too big. There we go. And I'm going to rename this eye shape. I'm going to create a new layer. Underneath that layer, I'm going to fill in with white. Just again, this kind of loose, rough fill, just to show you the effect faster. So there's one. I went over that a little bit. And there's two. Okay, so just making some eyes for fun. I didn't mean to play. I'll say white fill just so I can keep track of what's what. And then I'm going to make another layer that can be my background layer all underneath, which is, I'll just choose like a pretty orangey peach color. Just, you know, we could put a pattern or anything back there. You know, we can work with found photos doing all this too, so just a note about that.